You know what I miss? Miss the sound of secondaries opening up on a 4-barrel. We're going to fix that. Going back to the old school. Hey everyone, welcome back. Well, we all know when you say your project is finished, it's never finished. It's just temporarily finished. There's always something, right? Well, I've come to the conclusion that even with the aftermarket AC sticking out like a sore thumb, I want to put the car as close to factory as I possibly can. So that means pulling out the throttle body fuel injection, putting in carburetor, and all of the linkage and everything that goes along with it. Yeah, I know. A lot of work, but it's what I want. Let's walk you through kind of where we're going to start at. Well, as you know, and I explained previously in other videos, and if you've seen the car up close, I, almost 15 years ago, cobbled together a throttle body injection system with computer controlled spark. Distributors all set up for it. We got all the sensors, got the coil, mass airflow sensor or manifold sensor, whatever that sensor is, atmospheric pressure, whatever, idle air control, throttle position, coolant temp, you got your injectifiers there. Down there in the exhaust, I don't know if you can see it down there, there's an oxygen sensor and custom made throttle bracket with your low car throttle cable and kickdown cable going to the transmission. With 2 fuel lines, 1 race line, that's the return line, and then the feed line over there. All that stuff was a lot of fun to do back then. It was a nice project, but that was back when my intention was not to have the car 100% stock. I had that fancy hood scoop on there, and I wasn't going to put much of the trim back. I was going to keep it like de-chromed. Well, a lot changed, so that's got to change. So what we got going on is we got us a nice Carter AFB. Going to go back on. This is actually a 3853 for a 4-speed. I know it's an automatic. It'll get the job done. Got us a regular factory coil. Yes, ballast resistance going back in. Distributor. All the mechanical kickdown linkage. Fuel system. Got the original fuel supply line from the fuel pump. Fuel pump's already in the car. I just put that back in recently. Got some other kickdown linkage. I'm going to have to cobble-fabble something together to go from this pivot down to the bell crank. And from the bell crank, I got 2 of these. I'm going to figure out which one of these works better and go with that. So basically what I got to start doing is taking all this off so I can start putting all that back in. Since I've got the fuel pump in already, I'm going to start with throttle body off, as much stuff off the top of the engine, and then we're going to work on that line coming from fuel pump up here somewhere, and where we're going to put the fuel filter. Not a lot of room here with that in the way now. So let's get to it. Now there. That looks much better already now, doesn't it? Now, I do have to redo all the wiring. That's a given. I've got a lot of things to remove from there. And I got to redo some of the wiring so it comes back down along the valve cover, like the temperature sensor. I'm going to do the AC wiring same way. I have the alternator wiring coming this way around the front and then popping out there. So I will take all of that back this way, move it down like it's supposed to. That's going to be all part of the rewire, so it's all more factory. Carburetor looks good on there. Secondaries, everything seems open without a problem on this Edelbrock, because that's the one thing I'm not replacing right away. It's an Edelbrock Performer 318 360 series manifold. It's fine. I don't have an original 273 Commando 4-bell intake. This will work fine, but it does mean I'm going to have to fabricate a throttle cable bracket to go back here. Not a big deal. Okay, we need to start figuring out fuel line, fuel filter. That's priority one. I got the fuel line mounted up for the fuel pump, coming up through here, under the AC compressor, poking out underneath the back there, got the fuel filter on, and we're good to go. Here comes the fun part. Here's the electric pump. So I'm gonna take that out, fuel filter, and take out the new line I had run and reuse the original line for the supply line, because I had made that, so you can see this here. I got a your pickup and then a return line. This is from like a mid-70s A body when I started having the emission controls. So that's what this sender is. So I'm using the original line for the return of the fuel injection, and I ran a new line for supply. So now I got to swap it and pull the new line out and all that fuel pump stuff. A lot of fun. So I could have put a Mopar electronic ignition system back in the car and called it a day. I just didn't want to put the control box in the engine compartment. So I decided to go with a Pertronix system. I've never used it before. We'll see how it goes. But everything is tucked in right there. I mean, I'm kind of amazed how small this unit is. There's no external box. You just pop on this part here, goes with your you just pop on this that comes with it. It's got, I guess, magnets inside here that are picked up by the pickup control unit here, and you just put it on. So you see, this used to be a points distributor. That's what this kit is intended for. So we'll see how this goes. took a bracket I had, kicking around, bent it, and then I took the base of an older throttle cable bracket, welded it to this, and then took a factory cable bracket and just bolted it to that, because I had to raise it up a little higher so it would, pull straight and look right. So it pulls perfectly straight back, which is great. And maybe it could have come back a little bit more. Not worried about it. It's clamped down, like this good. Got the top bar on, and I got the top bell crank on for the kickdown linkage. So I have to get that done yet. But throttle cable's in, bracket, spring, and fuel system. So we could do a test fire. And the next thing I got to do is we got to get the kickdown linkage sorted out. And yeah, it's hard for you guys to see that, but kind of got my fingers up in here. I've got the pin back in the transmission, and it is a pin from a 67 and up because it's longer. I also have the bell crank for 67 and up, which is different from this application, of course. The rod coming down, if you can see that, yeah, there it is, kind of cleaned up, and it is actually it's actually from a slant 6. I don't have all the linkage that's correct for this car from the top down, but that's going to work. I got to do a little bending on that part, and I have the correct bell crank for the year model. And if I needed to, I could have used this. I put like a spacer on the outside and pin it so it wouldn't slop around. But I'm going to use the other one. Now this is the push rod from that bell crank to the transmission lever. I'm going to use this one. It's fine. I don't have, again, the correct one. This one is adjustable at this point, but this is for a slant 6, and unfortunately, it's going to hit the exhaust. So we're going to go with this one and the other bell crank, and now all we got to do is finish getting that low car cable and bracket out of here so I can get the new manual linkage back in. Yeah, that's fun. There it is. Yeah, crazy fun. No room to work in here. None. Well, I ended up having to go with the original bell crank for the bottom because the other one I had, it was kicking over. I'll show you that in a second. And my down rod from the slant 6, yeah, I put a little bend in it. That worked out great. However, I had to thread it down further, give it some more threads, and then trim it up a little bit. It was a bit long, but that's all set now. Yeah, using this one, when it would pull up, the geometry just wasn't quite right, and it was getting stuck this way, and it wouldn't come back down. So this one had to go, and I tried using the back rod from the slant 6 that was adjustable, and the other one. And the slant 6 one looked good, it was going to be good, but with this sticking out like it was hitting the exhaust. So I got the other one in. I have laid out the wires and got the connections all set just about. And I've been wrapping and wrapping and wrapping for about an hour now. And my back hurts. But I'm on the home stretch. Now, yeah, I did it all in the car. I did disconnect the bulkhead connector, but I did pull the wiring out, wrapped it all up, tucked it back in, came around this way. Then I have to secure it all back down, and I got the whole right side headlight out. All this has got to go back in. And I have a few more ends to terminate here for the air conditioning, and wiring will be all set. Well, most of the wiring will be all set. All the wiring that needs to be done to drive the car will be done. I still have to I'm going to pull the driver's seat out, lift the carpet up so I can pull the computer out for the fuel injection, and then the rest of the wiring that goes with it. Then that'll all be out, but that's a project for another day. I still got wrapping to do here. All right, we got everything buttoned up under the hood here. I mean, the linkage, the carburetor, the fuel system, all the wiring, everything's good to go. Back to the way it should be. Now, I wanted to do a test fire earlier on, and I did do a test fire earlier on. What I didn't do was actually push the button to start recording the video, so I don't have that to show you folks. I apologize about that. But, you know, standard thing, fill up the squirt bottle of fuel, dump it into the vents to fill up the bowls, fire it up. It popped off really quick, which was great. I was happy about the Pertronix kicking in, and just took a little bit of fiddling with the distributor to get the timing in, then was able to set it all up. So right now, we're going to do a cold start for you. So let's show you that. Keys on, pumps. Ta-da! Still a little work to do on the fast idle with the choke, but doing pretty good. All right, I'm gonna let this warm up, then we're gonna take it for a test drive. So far, I'm liking it. The roads are a little wet, so I'm guessing we're gonna get a little sideways if I punch it right now. Oh, I'm gonna stop. Oh, yeah. We had a little bog there. Double check the tune a little bit. I kind of set everything kind of by ear on the fuel mixture screws. So what I want to do is get back and when it's all warmed up and put a vacuum gauge on it, set it like that. I think what this thing needed all along was a little less fuel. I think there was something going on with the throttle body, the injectors, something. Whether it was just running rich, had a little bit of a loopy idle. So maybe something in the throttle body, one of the sensors, idle air controlled, I don't know. Yeah, I tried working with the computer programming, never really got where I wanted to be. So I'm guessing there was some kind of other failure within the system. But that was going to be expensive, just replacing sensors and whatnot. So I said, you know what? I got carburetors on the shelf. I got carb kits. I got everything else I needed. So I just put a carburetor back on, and it looks stock. That's really what I was going for. We're doing about 30-ish. Not too bad. Kick down, kicks down. I like it. I like it a lot. Not too shabby, huh? There you have it. I'm back to about as factory stock as I can get right now, minus the intake manifold and, well, the aftermarket air conditioning compressor. The receiver dryer obviously sticks out too, and the hoses. But you know what? I think the chrome really goes with everything else in the engine compartment, so it looks right. So there we have it. Carburetor's back on. I got a points distributor in there with the Pertronix ignition system in there. So far, I love it. The thing works great. So a little fine tuning I got to do on it. I did have a problem, whereas I did do some testing on it earlier. Like I said, I had forgotten to push record on the test fire, and then a day later I went to try again, and one of the needles stuck open. Weird, right? So I flooded over the carburetor and took the paint off the intake manifold. So I got to take everything off and repaint that later on this year or next year, before summer at least. But that said, so far, pretty happy with this. A little more fine tuning and we'll have her tight. Well, I'm going to leave it right there, folks. Thank you for watching. As always, appreciate you. Smash that like button. If you like what we're doing here on the channel, consider subscribing, and I will catch you next time.